Today on 90 Feet Away, we'll be joined by not only a heck of a baseball player in Zach Penprase, one of the guys that was first in not only dealing with, but learning about and then helping kids with their journey in mental health, anxiety in sports. Stay tuned. This is going to be a good one. Welcome back to 90 Feet Away. Today I am joined by one of my favorite human beings. This is not only an ex-player of mine, this is one of the most interesting human beings that I have ever come across. We'll talk about it a little bit into the show, but this is a guy that at first I want to say blew me off for about 6 or 8 weeks when I was trying to get a hold of him at first. And I think both of our lives changed once we were able to get together. Please help me welcome Zach Penprase. Zach, thanks for being with us today.
Hey, what's up, Holtzy? How's it going? I did blow you off for about 6 to 8 weeks. And then my wife reminded me, like, what happened to that Olympic thing? And I was like, oh, I guess I got to try that out. And then once I talked to you, it was just, I remember the first time we talked, it was just like, oh, it sounds like you're ready. Let's go. Let's get you to Israel. And so we clicked instantly, man. And it was, yeah, you're right. It was life-changing. And I talk about you all the time, and like you're like a second dad to me. So I love it. Thank you.
I love you, man. That's great. So as you know, what we talk about a lot on this show is not just the baseball journey. It's how do kids overcome adversity from so many different angles. And, you know, it's something that you got into, and we're going to get into that. I want to give the audience a little background on you before we get into that. Born and raised in Moore Park, California. You want to tell the audience exactly where Moore Park is?
Moore Park is situated about just over 40 miles northwest of Los Angeles in a small town. All the surrounding towns are over 100,000 people. When I was growing up, it was about 20,000 people, and now it's up to about 40 maybe. So it's still small, little place that nobody knows about. But one of our little league team made it back in '96, so that put us on the map. So people know about us from that and from some other little things, but just a small little town.
So that's pretty cool. You obviously were a stud. You had a great high school career. One thing that I always wonder about, how do you end up from Moore Park, California, to Mississippi Valley State? How does that happen for you?
That was back when the internet was kind of new and there was scouting services. And I had no idea what my parents were doing. They just asked me, hey, what sports do you want to play? I was a big soccer guy, loved karate, and I just loved every sport. Baseball was kind of like I was good at it. And it was just one of those sports that I didn't know if I was going to go to college playing soccer, baseball, whatever it was. So it was just kind of right there in the back burners. And I got picked on a lot in baseball. I was very athletic. Coaches didn't like me at all. And, but that was when my parents decided they were going to try to use like a service. So they paid money for somebody to put a video on their platform. And that's where coaches could go at that time. I don't even know what it was called. And the coach at Mississippi Valley State saw the video and he was just interested. So he brought me out for a visit like right away. And he was already tapped into the California market, and he was definitely going after kids that were overlooked. And nobody was looking at me except for junior colleges. I didn't play on varsity consistently to my senior year. I was kind of splitting time my junior year, played on JV freshman. Like that was a time also when only the rarest kids kind of played up. And so I really didn't start every day until my senior year, and the coach just kind of took a chance. He's like, I want you to come check out the school. As soon as I got there, I'm a guy that just likes to be outside my comfort zone. So as soon as I got there and I met the people, and I was just like, wow, I want to get away from home. And it was just kind of everything hit me at once. And he was like, I'm ready to have you come here and play. And obviously you got to earn your spot, but I'm looking forward to you play shortstop every day from day one. So that's just kind of how it happened. My parents took a chance on a service back then, and it worked out.
which is crazy, right? Like good for your parents, man. I mean, today everybody knows what that is, and a lot of people hire services. Then you have, PBR, Prep Baseball, and Perfect Game and all that stuff that act like, services getting kids out on their platforms. I think your parents are kind of like way before their time in doing this with you.
Yeah.
You obviously take advantage of the situation. You kill it out there. You do pretty well, like all conference, everything in the infield, that shortstop. Holy cow, this kid that didn't really know what he wanted to do coming out of high school, right? Because you pride yourself on just being athletic. It doesn't matter if you're playing bocce or cricket or kadima. Like you're competing at everything, right? But this kid that really wasn't getting full-time burn until his senior year ends up getting drafted in the 13th round in 2006 by the Philadelphia Phillies. Was that something you saw coming? Was that kind of mind-blowing for you?
Yeah, definitely. When I went to Mississippi Valley State, like that coach there, that experience changed my whole way of going about all my business. I mean, we were up at 4:30 to go. We had to be at the field at 4:45 for 5 o'clock running. And going through that whole, I mean, I think college is the hardest thing in anybody's life. That first semester for an athlete, and that's kind of like the kids I like to work with, is like kids that are going into college, and kind of like that first year or two, it's one of the toughest years of your life as an athlete if you want to make it any further. But I visualized myself playing in Dodger Stadium, and I wanted to be a big leaguer. But without that experience, it never really was real. And so my second year, when I jumped from 4 stolen bases to 44 stolen bases, and then I started getting some eyes, that's when it kind of hit me like, oh, this could be, a real thing. And, I sort of had to clean up my act a little bit. I was still kind of a high schooler that, I still like tapping in, like smoking weed and just kind of partying. And I got in trouble on the team for that. So I got suspended for a few games for doing that kind of stuff. But my coach, he still believed in me, and he was just that guy, man. He just recently died last year, and I was heartbroken, man. He totally changed my life, and he took a guy that he could have totally written me off. Oh, he's smoking weed, get out of here, whatever it was. And he didn't. He loved me, and he loved all of us, and he took me to the next level. And so that's really what it was. And I didn't really like going into high school. I was like, whatever. I'm just going to play some baseball. I want to go play college. I wasn't going to go to JUCO though. Like if I had a chance to go to JUCO, I would have just stepped away from baseball and tried something else. So without that opportunity from Doug Shanks, man, I don't know where I'd be right now. And that's really what clicked. That's when it clicked, was like my freshman and sophomore year in college, when everything changed. I was working out differently. I had roommates that brought me out to the field late. We turned the lights on. We were hitting late. We were just focused on baseball. I wasn't focused on girls. I was focused on baseball and partying, really. But there was no other distractions. So it was just like, I was there to play baseball, and that was it. And that's what's cool about the school I went to, is small, super small school. All black, historically black college. And there was only 40 or 50 white kids that really went there. And most of us were women's soccer players and men's baseball players. And that's why there was no distractions. We were just able to go to the field, work on our extra stuff, and get after it.
Which is awesome. And I apologize for the death of Coach Shanks. I mean, coaches can make or break, right? Coaches can make or break experiences. And good for him for giving you another opportunity. It's funny. I've never condoned drinking or drugs, but today, I mean, as you know, right, the rules have changed in MLB, and guys are openly smoking pot to help relax, gummies, all kind of stuff. So you know what? Good for him taking that shot on you. So you go from this kid in Moore Park to Mississippi State. You're working your butt off. One of the things you alluded to was being a college freshman. Well, it's not just about being a college freshman athlete. It's being a college freshman athlete with freedom for the first time, trying to keep organized and figuring out how to get my schoolwork done, oh yeah, and I really want to be good at baseball. So there's like a whole lot going on for younger kids that are, away for the first time. Walk me through what it's like. You go from, again, now this HBCU college, and now all of a sudden you're part of the Philadelphia Phillies minor league system. Like, again, is it culture shock for you? Where's your head? How you hitting this head on?
First of all, yeah, I mean, my first ultimate culture shock was going out to Mississippi. So, I mean, that really kind of shook my world totally. Going from, I just had no idea that world existed out there. And being in that first semester, that first year, I can't express my love and gratitude for basically my support system. So it's really tough to do it without anybody. If anybody, it's like being a single mom or a single dad, being a single parent. It's like that first time with that freedom and just having to work out and really pushing yourself. But with my roommates, my teammates, my parents helping me out with the money part, and my coaches that were always pushing me, there has to be some kind of support system. So, and that goes for coaches too. You can't always just be breaking somebody down. Yeah, there's a discipline factor and all that stuff, but there has to be some sense of a support system also coming from the coach that's outside of a family or a friend. And so, yeah, coaches can make or break you. But then I had another culture shock. You're right, going into the Phillies. And I think my culture shock there was they tell you instantly, all of you guys are the best players on your team. So, don't think you're the best player here. And they instantly want to suppress any kind of those thoughts, almost like that you're the best. And really that's what everybody should be believing, that they're the best at any given moment, at any given thing that you're doing. And you should be trying to do everything the best you can. It should be the best. And if you're not doing it, then don't show up. That's kind of where I'm at. But that was the culture shock for me, was I kind of reverted back to my high school coach, where my high school coach, a couple of them would kind of downplay you and really pick on you if they wanted to. And not in a loving sense, not in I really am loving this kid, so I'm going to pick on him because I really want him to succeed. It's I'm going to break them down to see if they can actually get to the next level. And that wasn't for me. I mean, but that's when
there's a part. I'm a baseball player, not a U.S. Marine, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Yeah.
But they had to go through all that. I mean, it's 1% each level, right? It's 1% of high school players play college, 1% of college players play pro, and then they can't get everybody to the big leagues. And then also the other aspect that I didn't like was the coaches were trying to make it to the big leagues as well. So they are trying to put their stamp on the players, I got those players to the next level. And it's just everybody's trying to put their stamp on everything. And again, it's the business aspect of it. And I kind of wish I would have maybe got coached on the business aspect of it and how to deal with it a little bit better. I learned to deal with coaches, but it was the business aspect of it. So that was the part that really mentally broke me down, where it wasn't a game anymore. And mentally, it wasn't for me. I was I don't want in this anymore.
So that's a pretty good intro that, you just teed up. The mental part. You, more than just about anyone I've ever met, while a player, not just now as a coach and a mentor, but while a player, got really into mindfulness, dealing with adversity, depression, anxiety. Why was that such a calling to you, Zach? Why were you so attracted to that? And as a coach and a mentor, what are your biggest challenges with that stuff now?
First of all, a couple of my mindset things came from some of my worst coaches in high school. So whether you have a bad coach or not, my message to some of those young kids out there is there's something to learn from everybody. Some of my worst coaches gave me my most valuable tool I still use today. Visualization was given to me when I was in high school by a coach that I didn't really like at all. So that's my number one thing. But when I got into professional baseball, my dad had gone to a Dodger game and just sat next to, at the time, Jack Wilson's agent. And then his agent was working with a mindset coach. Jack wasn't, but he had a mindset coach he was going to bring onto his staff. and they sat next to each other, had a conversation, and he told him about me and how I was just breaking down mentally, with the Phillies. And I started working with him the very next spring training. And that spring training, I went off. It was like I was a kid again. I wasn't even paying attention to the nonsense. I was not distracted at all. I was hitting over 400 in spring training, and I was in AA, AAA because they didn't have a spot for me in low A, high A. They were getting ready to release me. And I performed so well that they invited me to a big league game like a week before they were going to release me. They knew they didn't have a spot, but they knew I was performing, and they were like, maybe we can keep him around long enough to find a spot. And I was one of the last people to get released, but that spring training was like unreal. I remember working with this guy. And so I really kind of tapped back into my visualization that I was using in college. And then I started learning more tools between learning my competitive advantages, journaling a lot, just studying myself, making the adjustments, breathing, learning about external focuses and all this stuff. When I started learning about it, and then I started applying it when I was in Fargo and really playing 8 years there and having a great career. And then I really stepped into coaching after that when I retired in 2015. And I wish I would have stepped into coaching a little earlier, because that's when I really started to see my mind connect the dots when I was watching the kids. And so that's where I really dove really heavy into the spiritual aspect of the mental, and learning that the off-field stuff was affecting my on-field stuff. And the back and forth of that, also topped with, I became depressed after my career, didn't really know where I was going. And so I started going through this whole healing thing. And when I was coaching it and applying it and everything like that, and then 4 years later, I get on Team Israel, and then I'm able to actually use it in a game and apply it, and then help other like grown men like me that have been going through the same stuff like me. That's when I started getting chills. I started like feeling this like true connection to this stuff, and understanding that like we're all going through the same stuff. We just need tools to really, really, take care of ourselves. Really, like it's really just self-care, but through this,
but it's no different than working on an approach at the plate, right? It's how do I keep my head in the right place? And people don't understand that, right? Because one of my biggest contentions and one of my biggest challenges is in here, in the cages, everybody looks like, God almighty, I mean, everybody looks like Aaron Judge, right? Everybody's amazing. There's nobody in here trying to strike him out. There's no pressure in the game and in the situation. I remember walking down the steps. I want to say it was either in Bulgaria or Lithuania, and you had offered the team like a session pre-game. And I walked into the lobby, and there's like 18 guys laying down in the lobby of our hotel. And at first I'm walking by going, what exactly is going on right now? And the truth is that they believed in this, but you opened the door, because you got to remember too, Zach, again, kudos to your parents. Admitting anxiety, admitting depression, admitting that I have something holding me back, right, is the first step. Not everybody is forthright enough to admit that I have an issue I have to deal with, right? Watching you help your peer group, for me, was amazing. So I can't imagine what it's like for you to work with like the next generation of ballers. You were doing it with your teammates.
Yeah, I love that part, man. And like, I just knew what helped me, and I knew that everybody was kind of going through it. And I just want kids to do it at an earlier age. Like, so for me, I didn't really understand why I was like really, like why I wasn't coachable and why I thought the world was out to get me, until I got married in 2016, and I learned about
the wonderful Sheena Penprase.
She's the real MVP, man. She's my mental coach, dude. And so she's the reason why we connected. So
there's no question.
When I learned about like my childhood trauma, and like really when my life changed and my character changed when I was about 12 years old, And then I start to work with 12, 13, 14-year-olds and I see it and I can almost stop it in the moment where I can give them the tools for them to deal with it. That way they don't figure it out when they're 30 and be like uncoachable till they're 30. They can really perform and start to become better humans along the way. I mean, my motto for my coaching now is I don't care what you achieve. I care who you become in the process. And so with these tools, that's what helps.
Any good coach is going to
Yeah.
care about that, right? Any good coach is going to care about that to be able to keep these types of relationships like we have years after our experience is done, right? But for me, how you're able to not only impact, you're helping kids, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but seeing the 12 and 13-year-old Zach Penprase in these kids, it's easier for you to help them because there was nobody to help you.
I mean, my parents did a great job. Honestly, my dad really did a good job. He kind of had one of his own traumas when he was about my age. And so he was able to help me through that as well. And so, yeah, total credit to my parents, man. I don't know how they handled me, honestly, as a 16-year-old kid. And now I apologize to my mom all the time. Like, Mom, sorry, I wish I was a dad first, you know? But yeah, kudos to my parents for sure.
You go on to, you play a couple of years with the Phillies, you play a year or so with the Red Sox, but you have this unbelievable run, in the American Association, and you were the guy. You were like the face of the franchise. You were the Derek Jeter of Fargo. You know what I mean? Like you were the guy. And now, I don't want to say normal because there's nothing normal about you or us or what we do, but like you spent 8 years at Fargo. Did you not want to give it up? Did you think you were going to get signed again out of the American Association? What pushed you to keep going at that point, Z?
I was still having fun, man. I did get picked up after my first year, and I went into the Red Sox organization and kind of ran into the same experience where I just was like, yeah, like I want to make it to the big leagues, but I don't know if this is for me. And so I bounced back. I spent a month with them, bounced back the next year. I had a great opportunity with the Dodgers in spring training. I had my best tryout. I mean, it was an open tryout and 2 guys got signed out of 100 and something. And I killed it in that tryout. And then the same thing happened again in spring training. I was a grown man, and, my girlfriend at the time of a long time, and now we're married. She came into town for 2 days, I think it was, and I wasn't able to go and sleep in her room. But meanwhile, I roomed with a top pick guy, and he was bringing girls back to our room after curfew. And so again, it was just like, what is going on? And so when I went back to Fargo after that in 2009, I didn't even really want to get picked up. I was just having fun. My dad said, play till they take the shirt off your back. He blessed me with this support, the financial support, the emotional support, all the support. Again, the support system that allowed me to play for those 8 years. And my coach just wanted me to keep coming back. And I just loved playing. It was just so fun to play there. I felt like I was in Little League. I wanted all my childhood friends to come to Fargo and play with me and have a great time there. And yes, toward the end of my career, that last couple years, my last year for sure, I was depressed the whole year, which is kind of incredible. I hit over 300 and had one of my best years being depressed. And again, support system. My roommate got me out of bed every day and took me to the gym, and he kept me there. And so I was depressed because I didn't reach my full potential. I didn't make it to the big leagues, which I knew I could make it. I've had plenty of people tell me I'm the best shortstop they've ever played with. I'm the best teammate they've ever had. And so stuff like that is great to hear, but it takes a mental toll when you're like, man, I really could have reached my dream. I could have reached my potential, and I had a great career. I'm not downplaying that, but when you don't reach your potential, even though you put everything into it, it can be very depressing. And then you think you can't do anything else after that because you poured 30 or 25 years of your life into something and didn't really get anything out of it as far as like further future kind of support. But it turned into amazing things. It's still, I can't run away from the game. Like I tried a couple times, I can't run away. So it's given me my life and I love it. But I was depressed. I totally got down on myself that last year. And nowadays, I don't even know why, but it's that when you're in it, you have no choice, really.
Why did you hide from me? And I'm not being funny. Was it not knowing if you want, because you were out of baseball at that point? Do I not want to dive back into this? Because I will tell you, of the 40, 50, 60 people I've come across in my journey with this team, with Team Israel, nobody was happier than you. Nobody was more thankful than you. Every day, putting those cleats on with the wings, with the little gold wings on the sides. So it's just crazy for me to hear how depressed you were. But yet, once you made that decision, dude, like you were that guy.
Yeah, thanks for saying that. I mean, that means a lot. And I feel like I was just like that on the baseball field. I mean, honestly, but kind of the reason I avoided you was I had a 3-month-old baby. I was starting a business where I was going to get deep into the mindset stuff and kind of build a whole program for young athletes. And I remember telling my wife, like, I was like, Sheena, we have a 3-month-old. I'm trying to build a business. I don't know if I want to do this. I don't want to get back in shape. And she's like, you got to do it. And then she kind of left it. And then a couple weeks later, she asked, like, what happened to that? Did you ever call him? And I was like, no, I don't want to do it. She's like, what are you talking about? This is for the Olympics. And I was like, no, it's just to like try to get to the Olympics. She's like, no, come on. Like, you got to do it. And I just got on the phone right away. She clicked something in my head, but I was so avoiding because of what actually kind of what's going on now is basically like I work for my dad. I work construction, which I never wanted to do. My business is kind of crashed. I have to kind of get that whole momentum back. Like I wouldn't say I saw the future, but I saw the potential of all that stuff kind of going away. And now I got 3 kids, and Veda was able to come to Italy and watch us play and qualify for the Olympics when she was 1. My kids were able to watch me in the Olympics, and now they just watch videos and they think I'm this great baseball player guy. And it's amazing, And so my life is great, but I wanted to hold on to that moment where I was like, I had a 3-month-old, I was building a business, I had some momentum, and I wanted to kind of hold on to that moment. I think mostly because I also had my heart broken a few times in baseball. Baseball's broken my heart so many times, man, that like, I didn't want to feel that again. And, but that's when the magic happens, man.
Well, I'll tell you, for me, I just hope that the positive feelings that you ended your career with will forever stay ingrained in your head, because you were a tremendous reason that we got as far as we got and got to the Olympics. Having you through that journey was just so meaningful for me. Again, just, an incredibly special relationship. And I agree. I thank Sheena. Sheena is definitely the MVP of your family. Zach, if people want to find out more about Zach Penprase and what Zach does, are there websites? Where can we send our audience to?
So, yeah, I don't have a website right now. I've had a website in the past, and I'm trying to just kind of clean it up. So I would just say my Instagram is the best place to reach me. You can go follow me and see what I'm about. I post some cool stuff, and you can message me on there. I'm really accessible on Instagram. I have a Facebook, but that's kind of a personal thing. But Instagram is my main thing.
Penprase6 on Instagram. Please send my love to Sheena and the kids. And thanks for getting up early on this Friday morning after Thanksgiving. I've been looking forward to having you on for some time. And nothing but love for you today and always.
Thank you so much, Holtzy, man. I mean, it means a lot. That's why I was so happy, because there's guys like you that were leading the pack, So, like, I think that the message for coaches and players is like, find somebody to be attached to and just let them pull you along, and then you could just be the best self that you can be. So thanks so much. I'm glad we got on it. You reached out to me and you knew I wasn't working today. And thanks for getting me on here, man. I love getting up early to see this face.
No, it's all good. Go hit him straight today, my friend. Have a great day playing golf.
All right. Love you, brother.
Love you too.